In the harsh lands of Scandinavia, where winter's bite is as fierce as a warrior's blade, emerged a legend who would forever change the course of Viking history, Ragnar Lothbrok. Before his name struck fear into the hearts of England's kingdoms, before he became the scourge of Paris, Ragnar was a simple farmer and warrior in the Norwegian village of Kattegat. Unlike his fellow Norsemen, who were content to raid the familiar shores of the Baltic, Ragnar dreamed of something more. He possessed a curiosity that burned as bright as the fires in Odin's great hall, and a vision that reached far beyond the fjords of his homeland. The gods had blessed him with not only the strength of a warrior, but also the mind of a visionary, and it was this combination that would make him legendary. In these early days, Ragnar was married to Lagertha, a fierce shield maiden, whose beauty was matched only by her prowess in battle. Their love story began when Ragnar heard tales of a magnificent shield maiden who fought with the fury of the Valkyries themselves. He sought her out, only to be met by a bear and a huge dog guarding her home. After defeating these beasts, he earned not only her respect but her heart. Together they had 2 children, Bjorn, strong and determined like his father, and Gyda, gentle yet fierce like her mother. Their family represented the perfect balance of Viking life: strength and tenderness, wisdom and courage. While Earl Haraldsson, the local chieftain, insisted on leading raids to the poor eastern lands, Ragnar became convinced that rich, undefended kingdoms lay to the west. This belief was strengthened by his friendship with Floki, an eccentric boat builder who shared Ragnar's vision of creating vessels capable of crossing the open ocean. Floki was more than just a craftsman. He was a man touched by the gods, particularly Loki, whose namesake he proudly bore. His genius in shipbuilding was matched only by his unpredictable nature and unwavering loyalty to Ragnar. Against the explicit orders of Earl Haraldsson, Ragnar secretly commissioned Floki to build a new type of longship. Working in secrecy deep in the forest, Floki created a vessel that would revolutionize Viking exploration. The ship was equipped with a sunstone for navigation, allowing them to find their way even on cloudy days, and featured a shallow draft that could sail both the open seas and rivers. The construction of this ship was more than just a technical achievement. It was a declaration of defiance against the old ways and a bold step into an uncertain future. With this revolutionary vessel and a small crew of loyal warriors, including his brother Rollo, Ragnar embarked on an illegal raid that would change Viking history forever. Rollo, a warrior whose strength and ferocity were legendary even among Vikings, stood by his brother's side despite his own burning ambition. Their relationship was complex, a mixture of loyalty and rivalry that would eventually shape the destiny of both men. Under cover of darkness, and with the prayers of their people behind them, they crossed the vast North Sea, venturing farther west than any of their people had dared before. They made landfall on the shores of Northumbria, at a place called Lindisfarne. The Christian monastery there represented everything foreign to the Viking way of life: wealth, learning, and a faith in a single god. The raid on Lindisfarne's monastery shocked the Christian world to its core. Never before had raiders come from across the open sea, and never had they struck with such precision and brutality. The monks of Lindisfarne, keepers of great wealth and religious treasures, were completely unprepared for these northern warriors. Among the captives taken that day was a young monk named Athelstan, who would become crucial to Ragnar's understanding of the Christian world and his own spiritual journey. The successful raid brought not only wealth, but also knowledge. Through Athelstan, Ragnar learned of the kingdoms of England, their riches, their ways, and their weaknesses. This knowledge fueled his ambition and confirmed his belief that the future of his people lay in the West. However, success also brought danger. Earl Haraldsson, seeing the young warrior's growing popularity as a threat to his power, moved against Ragnar. The tension between them escalated until it could only be resolved through combat. In a brutal holmgang, ritual duel, Ragnar faced Earl Haraldsson in a battle that would determine not just their fates, but the fate of Kattegat itself. The fight was fierce, with both men showing the skill and courage that had made them leaders. In the end, Ragnar's youth and innovation prevailed over Haraldsson's experience and tradition. With the Earl's death, Ragnar became the new ruler of Kattegat, but this victory marked only the beginning of his journey to power. As Earl, Ragnar's ambitions grew along with his responsibilities. He continued his raids into England, each more daring than the last. His fame spread, and warriors from across the Norse world came to join his crews. His reputation grew with each victory, but so did the complexity of his life. His marriage to Lagertha faced challenges, particularly after the death of their daughter Gyda to a plague that swept through Kattegat. The loss of Gyda marked a turning point in Ragnar's life, showing him that not all enemies could be defeated with sword and shield. The arrival of Princess Aslaug in Kattegat brought both promise and turmoil. Beautiful and wise, she claimed to be carrying Ragnar's child after a brief encounter during his travels. Her presence created an impossible situation that would eventually lead to Lagertha's departure. This personal loss was felt deeply by Ragnar, though his ambition drove him forward. Aslaug would bear him 4 more sons: Ube, who carried his father's diplomatic nature; Hvitserk, the warrior; Sigurd, marked by the gods; and Ivar, born with brittle bones but possessed of a brilliant and ruthless mind that matched his father's. Ragnar's ambitions extended beyond mere raiding. He began to understand that true power lay not just in conquest, but in settlement and rule. He negotiated with King Ecgbert of Wessex, a man whose cunning matched his own, for Viking settlements in England. These negotiations revealed Ragnar's diplomatic skills and his ability to think beyond the traditional Viking way of life. However, they also exposed him to the duplicitous nature of Christian kings, as Ecgbert would eventually betray their agreement, slaughtering the Norse settlers in a move that would haunt Ragnar for years to come. The Siege of Paris marked the pinnacle of Ragnar's military achievements. The city was considered impregnable, protected by massive walls and the swift currents of the Seine River. But Ragnar, ever the innovator, developed unprecedented strategies for the attack. He studied the city's defenses, noting every weakness and opportunity. When conventional assaults failed, leaving many of his warriors dead or wounded, Ragnar devised a bold plan. He feigned conversion to Christianity and staged his own death, requesting a Christian burial within the city walls. This ruse allowed his warriors, hiding within his funeral casket, to breach the city's defenses. Though the initial raid was only partially successful, it demonstrated Ragnar's tactical genius and opened the way for future Viking incursions into Francia. The aftermath of the Paris raid marked a dark turning point in Ragnar's story. Severely wounded during the assault, he struggled with both physical and psychological scars. The weight of power, the betrayals he had endured, and the constant pressure of maintaining his legend started to take their toll. He began to question everything: his faith, his ambitions, and his legacy. His relationship with Athelstan, who had become his closest friend and spiritual advisor, had ended in tragedy when the monk was murdered by Floki, who saw him as a threat to the old ways. This loss deeply affected Ragnar, further contributing to his growing disillusionment. Years after the Paris raids, unable to face his failure in establishing lasting Viking settlements in Wessex, and haunted by his many losses, Ragnar disappeared from Kattegat. When he finally returned, he found his world transformed. His sons had grown into men, each carrying a piece of his legacy, but also their own ambitions and resentments. Bjorn had become a leader in his own right, while his younger sons had grown up barely knowing their father. The legend of Ragnar Lothbrok had begun to fade, replaced by tales of his long absence and supposed cowardice. Knowing that his legend was waning, but determined to secure his son's future, Ragnar devised one final, devastating plan. He recruited his crippled but brilliant son Ivar and a small crew for what appeared to be another raid on England. However, this was no ordinary raid. Ragnar knew their small party would be captured, and he counted on it. His true plan was to create a reason for his sons to avenge him, ensuring that his death would spark a war that would shake England to its foundations. Captured by King Aelle of Northumbria, Ragnar faced his death with the same defiance that had marked his life. In his final moments, as he stood before the pit of snakes that would end his life, he delivered a speech that would echo through history. He proclaimed that his death would bring a reckoning upon England, for his sons would come to avenge him with an army such as the world had never seen. His death was not an end, but a beginning, a catalyst for the greatest Viking invasion England would ever face. Indeed, as Ragnar's body settled into its final rest among the serpents, his death cry still echoing across the English countryside, the wheels of fate had already been set in motion. His sons fulfilled his prophecy by raising the great heathen army, bringing unprecedented destruction to the kingdoms of England. Each of his sons carried forward a different aspect of their father's legacy. Bjorn became a great explorer, sailing the Mediterranean Sea. Ivar proved himself a brilliant tactician, leading the great heathen army with ruthless efficiency. Ubi pursued his father's dream of settlement, eventually reaching the golden lands of North America. What made Ragnar Lothbrok truly remarkable was not just his achievements, but his complexity as a character. He was a farmer who became a king, a warrior who sought peace, a pagan who respected Christian ways while maintaining his faith in the Norse gods. His relationship with the gods was particularly complex. Though he claimed descent from Odin himself, Ragnar often questioned the gods' existence and their role in his life. His famous declaration, "When on still days I cannot feel the wind on my face, I wonder, is Thor truly dead?" revealed a man who grappled with faith, even as he shaped history. Today, the legend of Ragnar Lothbrok continues to captivate audiences, reminding us that greatness often comes not from following established paths, but from having the courage to forge new ones. His story is more than just a tale of conquest and adventure. It's a testament to the power of vision, the price of ambition, and the enduring impact one life can have on history. In the end, Ragnar Lothbrok was more than just a Viking leader. He was a symbol of human ambition, innovation, and the eternal quest to leave a mark on the world that survives long after we're gone.